Hello there YouTube, this is the Rogue Jam Player here and coming at you with a budget deck. This is going to be 3 copies of the new Fallen in the Virtuous structure that came out about just over a week ago. This is only 3 copies of it. It's probably very similar to the ones you've seen. It's really cool that they created a structure that not only gives us new cards, good reprints, but also made the entire deck hollow. Like, I mean it's ultra rare, so it's not like, you know, QCRs and things like that, but the fact that it is entirely hollow is great. It's got a lot of value with it. It's got some really cool concepts that if you add a couple dollars here and there, you can really kind of make it into something semi-competitive to the point where you're going to the races. So let's get right on to it. This is a 50 card list, 50 card main deck. We're just making use of what we have for the deck as best we can. We are going to start with 3 copies of Fallen of Alvaz. This is one of your main cards. You can search it. You always want to have access to it. Have access to one in deck at all times. It's just absolutely amazing to have. Not to mention that he is the main card in the deck. You know, if you have this, you're going to be fine. So we do play 3 copies of him. We then play 3 copies of Aluber. He is the other counterpart to the whole thing. It gives you your branded fusion or any of the branded stuff that you have. It gives you so much, and then also you can recur it as well, negating monster effects. So it is a disruption as well. So we then play 3 copies of Albion, the Shrouded Dragon. This is now a mandatory 3 of. It's been a mandatory 3 of. The fact that this card says send anything that has Fallen of Albaz in it in the card text to the graveyard means you can trigger all kinds of things. Not to mention that it does allow you to do setup plays, and it does shuffle itself back, so you always have access to it when you need it. And not to mention that you can discard it for things like high spirits and things like that. So we do play 3 of that. We then play 2 copies of Blazing Cartesia. On-field special summoning her, not to mention fusion summoning, and then recurring during the end phase if you do send a fusion, which happens all the time, so you always have access to this card. And then 2 copies of Guiding Quem. The other 2 of that we really play in this deck, dumping things and resurrecting monsters, which triggers, you know, like for example Fallen of Albaz, which triggers his effect, which allows you to fusion summon. So, and then for the 1-ofs, we are playing 1 copy of Kit, 1 copy of Mercurier, 1 copy of Incredible Ecclesia, and then we are playing the 1 copy of Despian Tragedy. This is all the 1-ofs that you're going to be playing for at least that for the branded specific stuff. And then we are playing a small Bisteel Engine. We are going to be playing 1 copy of Lubellion, 2 copies of Saronir, 1 copy of Magnemont, and the 1 copy of Drua's Worm. Drua's Worm is good for disruption. Magnemont is just there because you can summon it. It does replace itself, and then, for example, if you already have Lubellion in the graveyard, you can recur the Lubellion, which gives you a card on board as well in the form of Branded Regain or Branded Lost. We then play, for spells, we are playing 3 copies of the Fallen and the Virtuous. For those that don't know what this card is, you can use both of these effects in the same turn, and it's always considered a branded or dogmatica card. So it can be searched through the original Ecclesia and those type of things. But the first effect is you can send a monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz from the extra deck to the graveyard and target a face-up card and destroy it. So this can be used to get rid of opponent cards, but also protect your cards, because you can get around things like Imperm, Effect Veiler, and those type of things, because the card is no longer on the board for them to negate it. So, and then the other effect is if you have an Ecclesia monster, it's a monster reborn from either graveyard. And it's a quick play, so you can use it to just disrupt your opponent plays and also get around things. We then play 2 copies of Branded Fusion because we can sadly only play 1 or play these 2. We still have 1 more band, but who knows? Maybe next list we'll get this deck at 3 because this is really good. Keep in mind the new fusion requires 3 material, and you cannot summon it with this card, so keep that in mind when you do plan on using this. For the remaining branded stuff, we are playing 3 copies of Branded Opening, which gets the Aluber onto the board, which does search, and then not to mention it does protect your fusions from card effects. So that is cool as well. We then play 3 copies of Branded and High Spirits. You can kind of tweak the ratios depending on your preference. I like the fact that you can play this just because it's a free card that says search a card, and not to mention it does load up your graveyard with material for things like Lubellion and things like that. So we then play the 1 copy of Branded in White, 1 copy of Branded in Red, 1 copy of Branded Lost, and then the 1 copy of Branded Regain. These 2 can be placed off of Lubellion. Not to mention you can still search. This gives you a draw and a resurrection if you choose to do it, and then Branded Lost is just free, advantage. Branded in White is really good in this deck now because you always have a graveyard to use with it. So, and then for the other stuff, we are playing 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. We have Blazing Cartesia. We have Fallen of Albaz. So this is just another copy of them whenever you need it. The summon lock is not even an issue because we only play fusions. That's all they give us. So we have that as well. We then play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. This is absolutely amazing that they reprinted this card. This is absolutely broken. Not to mention that with the fusion targets they did give us, does give us some ability to disrupt our opponent. If you do manage to get things like Mud Dragon, Garura, and things like that, it does expand your repertoire. So it does give you more access to things if you choose to do that. So, but it is a 3 of that you can play. We then play 3 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust, which is pretty amazing because it just gives you access to really anything that is a normal spell or normal trap. And if your opponent controls a card, you can activate the spell anyway. So, and then we play 1 copy of Gold Sarcophagus and the 1 copy of Foolish Burial to round off our spells. We then play for the traps. We're playing 1 copy of Fusion Duplication and the 1 copy of Branded Retribution. These are just cards that say do more. For the extra deck, it's 15 cards, obviously. It's no means perfect because it's not everything, but we're making best use of what we have, what they do give us. So we are playing 2 copies of the Dragon that Devours the Dogma. It does require Fallen of Albaz, a light or dark monster, plus an effect monster. So it does require 3 material. Not to mention, if you have an Ecclesia monster on the field or in either graveyard, it gains 500 attack, so it goes to 3,500, and is then unaffected by other card effects. So it becomes basically a Towers when you do summon it when you have the Incredible Ecclesia in the graveyard, or any of them, for that matter. And then, if this card is special summoned, you can shuffle up to 2 cards in any graveyard or banished into the deck. And then during the end phase, if it's sent to the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can add a Dogmatica or Tri-Brigade card. So you're going to be adding, obviously, the Fallen and the Virtuous. So that is pretty neat to have. It is a beast, so it does work with the Branded and High Spirits as a target as well. We then play 3 copies of Albion, the Branded Dragon. This is probably the best one to summon and also to send off of Branded and High Spirits because it does search you branded cards. Not to mention it does fusion summon immediately, so it is a card that you can use to go into this, into Mirror Jade if you absolutely need to do so. We then play 2 copies of Lubellion. I like this card to play 2 of it just because its ability to shuffle back materials means you can always put stuff back when you absolutely need to do so, to keep things like fusion deployment and things like that in circulation. So it does help you in that regard. Not to mention it does, it just sets up everything. We then play for the 1-ofs, we're playing 1 Mirror Jade, 1 copy of Sprind, 1 copy of Avalenitas, 1 copy of Titaniclad, 1 copy of Brigand, 1 copy of Rimbrum, and the 2 copies of Ranganoid, which round off the extra deck for the most part. Like I said, you can make some quite different modifications based upon what you have access to and things like that. But this is something that you can really start with. It is, like, by no means, it's not new. I mean, the structure deck has been out for over a week. And not to mention, the branded deck has been pretty much defined. So there's a lot of options you can play. If you want to play a smaller engine, to bring it down to like 45 or even 40, you can do that. You just have to make several concessions. Not to mention, if you want to add different fusions, you can do that as well. So let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.